So, in the Metamora, Michigan area, we are known for quite a famous little restaurant, but also our biggest event of the year by a long shot is Metamora Country Days and Hot Air Balloon Festival. And if you've stumbled upon this, you're like, why on earth would she have a problem with that? It's gorgeous. Look at, everybody comes, families get together and take a lot of beautiful pictures. And that's true. And I used to really enjoy it for a lot of years. And then I started noticing things, looking around, going, and I did events professionally for 10 years, boots on the ground, talking to the fire marshal, making sure things were safe. And I've done everything that I can government wise. I've spoken at all kinds of meetings, county, local. Obviously, we're very proud of it. There it is on the sign right there, our festival. But I think there are some things you should know if you're considering coming, and you can make your own decision. 2024 was, I am sorry to say, the worst year yet for safety. And by their own Facebook page for this event, they said very dangerous conditions arose during this event. People were parked in, they were just inventing their own parking spots. And it's important to note that a lot of gas is at this event, a lot of propane, 26 houses worth of propane for 1 month. Is there. There was no information or very little information about handicapped parking. People were wondering about that. No one was directing traffic. This is paid for, just so you know, partly with taxpayer money. It's run by the Chamber of Commerce, but the DDA contributes money, the Village of Metamora contributes money, the township contributes money. Sorry, these are such bad documents. They were the best I could do. But I'll start to point out some of these things as we go by. Notice all the snow fence that's in front of the Metamora Lions club, but that is blocking a lot of egress. We just passed a fire hydrant that was blocked up. That is a monster truck right in Metamora Community Park there. It goes up the hill if you watch it and then goes back down, which I had a police officer tell me that he thought that was really quite dangerous, but there was nothing he could do about it. So I think these are things you should consider if you are going to come. And it's just mayhem. This is 2023, and the hydrant situation there, watch for it. It's going to come up really close with that red minivan, really fast there. There it is, completely blocked. That is the fire hydrant closest to this event, closest to the Lions Hall with a lot of people. And it was completely blocked. So it is mayhem every year. And this is actually when the crowd has died down a little bit. This is when people have been going home for a couple of hours. And then in 2023, there was some kind of incident. I heard, this is just rumor, but I heard that it was something that happened at the beer tent and then went on down the street. They did have, there were 3 police vehicles right there that you can see. It took me a very long time to get home that day. So what happened is, at least in about 10 years ago, there were about 5,000 people. Reports are about 5,000 people used to come to this festival. And then it very quickly, now the reports are about 10,000 people come to this festival. And we are a tiny, tiny little village of less than 700 people. And we have, just 4 ways in and out of the village. We just don't have the infrastructure for 10,000 people. With a little bit of planning, it could certainly go off a lot better. So you can see this is the first year I went, probably 2011, excuse me. And it was, there was a lot more space. There were a lot fewer people there. My nephew with me this year, and there was a lot of space for him to run and play. People bring their dogs. It's a good time. And then I started noticing side-by-sides coming in these years. And then very quickly by 2019, they were just lining the edges of the fields. They were coming through the trails at the back. Yeah, it's loud when you're there. It's loud. But it's beautiful, and it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it just started getting more crowded, and I started thinking about how there were people right up next to fire, people walking all over. So it was a reasonable crowd back then. 2017, there were a lot more side-by-sides that year. And you'll see the golf carts coming up right there. And people just kind of really closing in around the tents. Any other festival I've been to, Balloon Festival, there's a perimeter and you just sit behind the perimeter. because it just takes, unfortunately, one bad actor, and no one wants that to happen. But it's always a risk with public things. 2018 was a bust. Only one balloon went up. It was not a great weather year. 2019 is the year that I remember trying to walk home from there, and I walked home on the rail trail. And it was just side by side golf cart the whole way home. It was crazy. And this part coming up, I wanted to hear you to hear the cheering. It's always very joyful. But yeah, it's just so many people around that field. You just really start to think, what if something did happen, which you never want. So to stop this, what do we do? Well, the easiest one to fix, and these are in no particular order, by the way, is stop using steel rods for parking. It is insane. I talked about this in my Metamora Community Park video. They got left behind. People were driving near them in the tall grass. But you just use cones instead. This is stupid. That field is so slippery and wet sometimes in the rain and in the grass. It just is wet. Yeah, you use these things. It's simple. You just rent them. They're very easy to put up. They're a lot easier than those steel rods are, but they do their job better is the main thing too. But in that field, particularly with the steep slopes that are all over, cones are just a much better idea, safer with internal combustion engines. But you've seen these cones all over the place. This was Lapeer the day I was cutting this video, and then a few miles down the road in Metamora in our construction. Again, just a much better idea. Then the snow fence, really not sure how they got into using that, but I wanted you to look at how many yards of snow fence right here are blocking the egress. If you were somewhere in that area and you needed to get through because there was a fire or any other reason to get through, it's blocking the way. How would you get over it? So what's a much better idea is something called bike fence, which we all know in the event industry. Look at that. It's curved on the top so you won't impale yourself. And anyone can take those apart and put them back together. You rent it. They bring it to you on a truck. So easy. Hydrant access. I've started talking about this. That's hydrant 1 right there. And then we're coming up to hydrant 2, which is completely blocked right there. I'm showing these because I think it's very important to know. When you live here, how is your safety affected? Hydrant 3 is right there. And this, that was only about 5 feet from that car. This camera had a very curved edges, a lot of distortion. There's number 3, which is surrounded by rebar. So I wanted you to think about firefighters at night in the dark. There's the police truck, by the way. They saw all of this going on. This one was fine right here. But then I'll take you up pretty quickly here. We'll go, we're almost to my house. Up at the corner there was a hydrant. Almost there. The hydrant has blocked in by cars right there at that corner. So it's a big deal. Pedestrian crossings. This was a big problem in 2024. This is just one example. No one was directing traffic down at our stoplight, which they usually would have been. And then usually in the past years, I used to see people crossing folks, making sure that the sidewalk and the trucks and people going in and out, like that was all being done in an orderly way and done much safer. It's important. And I've asked them to do better. EMS routes. It's very important as a resident. I'm going to show you all of this for a reason, because it's important to know that, again, there's only 4 ways really in and out of our village. And this is the main artery. This was me going south on Metamora Road. And note all of these cars. And again, this is, probably about an hour after people started leaving. There would have been more cars the hour before. So think about it. If there was an ambulance that needed to get out of the balloon field or anywhere in there and then go north on Metamora Road, how would they have gotten out? You know, or how much would they have been slowed down? Because you'll see all these people getting in and out of their cars. There are people on both sides of the road right here. So, and I was doing about less than 15 miles an hour going through here. The speed limit, as I put there, is 55. So you got to think about, and this is in the township. This part isn't in the village until we get up there to the sign. But for safety, is this a good idea? Because Oak Street, when we get down there, this is Metamora Road until we get to the village limits. But on Oak Street down there, I mean, that's blocked. What if you or someone in your house needed help So that right there is how I'm guessing they would get you out of the field if you needed it through Jamestown there, which also gets parked up. But yeah, there's a balloon field that was Harmer Park. That's the rail trail, which they often will claim is a fire lane. But I don't know how much good that does you if Metamora Road is parked up. And they also use the snow fence up. This is the access to the balloon field for the balloonists. We very much, number 6, we very much need an outdoor assembly ordinance. This is the one for the township. Metamora Township has one, but the event happens in the village, so we don't have one. But look at that. They have definitions. They have all these things that would be outlined and looked at by the police chief and the fire chief, and then voted on and permitted. We very, very much need a fire marshal. We do not have one in Metamora Township. And because the fire marshal will take care of all of this stuff for us. He would say, absolutely not. You guys aren't doing some of this stuff. You're making a perimeter. You're using bike fence. You're not blocking hydrants. All of these things would be taken care of. He or she, would be looking at access, ADA access, routes to make sure that they were safe enough. Yeah, definitely no snow fence. And he would say no. Or she would say no. You've got to keep this open, but we don't have anywhere near anyone with that kind of experience in our fire department. We have a fire chief. We do not have a fire marshal. He'd be looking at this egress, because when you're in the field, you're kind of plowed in, and then that blue part is just full of cars and people. So we very much need a map for this event. I've never seen one. Because little old Leonard the Strawberry Festival has its own map, quite a lovely map to show you where things are. This is all they turned in when they turned those in. That's the parade route map. You can't even read it. It's just grossly inadequate. That's Metamora Community Park. There's a picture I got from Google. It's really not that hard just to accurately make a map and show people where the restrooms are, where everything is. There's so much missing from it. And it's a safety thing. Like, where's first aid? Where are people stationed? If you need a police officer, where do you go? The shuttle bus stops and the shuttle routes, where are those? Parking areas. Just all these activities are completely left off of any sort of information that people get other than the schedule. We need to demand that they make a full, and I've been asking this for years now, a full application. They need to redo their special event application at the village. But the Chamber of Commerce needs to do a much better job. This is all they turned in. Literally all they turned in with their insurance certificate. That was the 5th page, $1 million insurance certificate. But there is so much missing. Even just the vendor contact information. What if it happens if there's a storm coming, there's a problem with the tents? They didn't include so much even that scant application said they should have. No information about the tents, where the food is. It's all just missing. Because what they turned in does not reflect, this is the 2023 schedule, 2024, the tentative 2025 schedule. That's what goes on there. It's a whole lot more involved than what you would think if you just look at their application. But we also need all of these things. Fire lanes is number 1. Somebody needs to be out there making sure things are set up right. It's crazy to me. I'm asking for this to be changed because I want people to come and be able to enjoy this festival. But as it stands right now, I can tell you I don't go, and I tell people that I love don't go. Because it's simply, based on what I saw last year and what I've seen in previous years, and what I see from the application, just simply is not set up the way other places are. Again, we don't have a fire marshal looking out for us. If you go to Art and Apples in Rochester, I saw a high-ranking member of the fire department walking around. It was like Sunday afternoon, like right before they were going to close, and he was still making sure it was safe there. So we deserve better. We deserve better for the people who come and rely on us for safety. You expect what you find in other places, and we are simply not reaching that from what I have seen. So I hope the Chamber of Commerce will consider what I have to say here and consider the information I've given them and get some expert help and make this event as safe as possible for the people who want to come enjoy.